Good morning, it's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself, and today we are going to talk about how to be your future healed self. Okay, we're going to talk about the steps, we're going to talk about what to actually do. So if you haven't seen some of my videos on creating your future identity and your self-identity, please go watch those. But what we want to talk about today is how do I do it? How do I actually become my healed future self? So first you take stock of where you're at. Do you have chronic illness, pain, symptoms, sensations, anxiety, depression, physical pain, physical symptoms, disease? What chronic illness or what do you have? What is happening right now? So your first thing that you need to do is clarify. I'm having these emotions, I'm having this trauma, I'm having these physical sensations. Okay, we know that because that is the current story that you live in, your current identity, what you continue to tell yourself, what you continue to live out, the patterns that you're continuing to circulate. So you know that. You don't have to spend much time on this step, right? Just take stock. I'm aware, I'm observing what's actually happening and what I continue to live into and tell myself about my current situation, my current state of health. But this is what I want. I want to be healthy in whatever form that looks like for you. I want to be pain-free. I want to have zero symptoms. I want to feel good in my body. I want to have loads of energy. I want to feel peace of mind, clarity. I want to feel emotionally happy and joyful and stable and, content. I want to feel good in mind, body, and soul. I want to be content. I want to be at ease. So what is it that you want specifically? That's really important, because if you don't know the specifics of it, how will you get it? Okay, so I want health. I want full health. I want to feel good in my mind, body, and soul. I want to feel good. I want to feel free. I want to feel at ease. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel peace. I want to feel good. I want to be healed. Okay, so if you're telling yourself I want to be healed, now what does that look like for you? This is step 3. What does that look like for you? And it looks like something different for everybody. Being healed might look completely different to me than it does to you. What does the healed life, the vision of your healed self look like? Like if I could wave that magic wand and make it, you are healed. What does the life that goes along with that look like? You might not know. You might not know. You're just like, I don't care. I just want to feel good. Okay, but that's not enough in step 3. Okay, that's enough for step 2. It's not enough for step 3. Step 3 is like, how do you know if you feel good? How do you know when you feel good? What does that life look like? The healed life to you look like? For you, it may be being really active, full of energy, being able to leap out of bed, throw on your clothes and go for a jog down the street. It might look completely different from that. It might mean looking up, lying up in bed and sitting up and grabbing your favorite book, opening it, cuddling up under cozy blankets with your favorite mug of tea and reading it. Okay, those are 2 different visuals, 2 different ways that health appears to you, right? One is that maybe it means you can get back to work, to a career you love, to something that you're passionate about, right? And to somebody else, it might mean taking like a full advantage of your relationships and finding that person that you want to be with for the rest of your life and putting your effort into a relationship, or focusing on your children and really connecting, finding deep connections, having meaningful conversations with people. It might mean being able to do the hobbies that you love, be outdoors, be active. It may be, and it may be all of that. It may be general, but what does it look like for you? Getting your dream house and your dream career and really focusing on your finances because you feel so great in your body. Really, that's what maybe the perfect healthy life looks like to you. Maybe to somebody else, it's just really getting the body that they've always wanted and being fit and active and healthy and participating in sports and hobbies and really like toning that body. Maybe it means eating a certain diet. Like you would eat a certain way if you were healthy. You would, drink these foods, you would eat these foods, you would really focus on your diet and certain recipes, and you would love that. Maybe it has nothing to do with food. You wouldn't ever focus on food a day again in your life if you were healed because it wouldn't matter to you. You would just eat the things that you enjoy. So what does health and being healed look like for you? What is that life? What is the life you had before illness? What is the life that you want to create after illness? What does it mean? If I said you are now living your perfect healed life, what does it look like specifically for you? Right? And that is literally different for every single person, because my idea of being healed and living a healthy life and your idea of being healed and living your healthy dream life are completely different dream lives, right? We're completely different people. We have completely different values and passions and hopes and dreams and, life goals and a purpose. We are all unique with our own individual purpose as to why we came here on earth and what we want to fulfill. So maybe it's, sitting down to tell your story or give that interview or write your book or make a YouTube channel. And maybe to somebody else, it's like focusing on this amazing career that they have, or, making the money, finding the partner, getting the relationship, climbing the mountain, right? It's like doing that thing for you. And defining that is really important for yourself, because, what does it look like? What does it really feel like? What does it taste like, smell like? What is it in your five senses? What is it in your heart and your soul? What is that amazing healed dream life? What does it feel like to be in this body? What does it feel like to be in this body that feels good? What would you do with it? What would you do if you had the body that didn't hurt or didn't have those symptoms, or you had the energy? Like, what would you do with it? What would you do if the disease vanished? What would you do with your health? What does the health feel like? And what experience would you take with it? Because health is nothing if we don't experience health. How do you experience health? And so you start your day like that. You wake up, and the minute you wake up, instead of telling the old story, oh, is that part of my body still hurt? Like, is that thing still doing that? Like, oh my God. And you're immediately into the old story, scanning for the old story, recreating the old story, focusing on the old story. I mean, you do it the second you open your eyes, when you start to body scan and check, am I still the same as yesterday? Okay? You have to stop that. You have to cancel that out. You have to know what you would do, and you have to take steps to step into that future self, your future healed self, now, before it is showing and before it's real in your 3D reality. So the second you wake up and you open your eyes, you cancel the old story. You don't think about the old story. You don't go back to reconfirm the old story to see if it's still there, to see if it's still happening. You know what you want your dream life to look like. So yeah, if that is getting up and drinking lemon water because you imagine your future healed self would do that, then that's what you do immediately. If you kind of jump out of bed and your idea of health is to get up, throw on your clothes, drink a lemon water and go for a big hike or a run, then that's what you do. It doesn't matter if your current reality doesn't reflect that or doesn't let you do that. That's the mindset you bring to it. That's the feeling you bring to it. That is the action that you do. Even if you do it terribly, even if you only do, 30 seconds of it, a minute of it, 5 minutes of it, 20 minutes of it, whatever it is, you do it. And then you go on. It matters. It matters each step. It matters on a day-to-day basis, right? Long-term matters, but how you act every single day creates the long-term. So the short-term actions create the long-term future self that you are going to see reflected back. If you know what the long-term looks like, that visualization, you do that visualization every day, every morning when you wake up and every night before you go to bed, like what the 5-year from you or the 10-year from you looks like. What do you look like? What is that future, vision that you want to call in when everything's perfect 5 years from now? What does it look like? You manifest it, you have this visual, you're doing like a 15-minute sort of experience where you, with your 5 senses, experience this. But now it matters what you do on a day-to-day basis. You have to step into that visualization. You have to step into that future manifestation. You have to step into your future self by starting to create that vision now. So it matters, what do you do when you wake up? Specifically, what would that person do? Then do it. drink the lemon water, go for the walk, or lounge in bed and do your meditation. Sit in this beautiful room and just do your meditation. If you want to do it with a healed body, and right now you are doing it with all the symptoms, it doesn't matter. You do it anyways. You step into it now. Okay, so then what specifically does the future healed version of yourself, what would you do with your time in between the hours of 9 to noon? What would you do with your time? Would you do the job you loved? Would you write your book? Would you spend time with your kids? Would you focus on making videos or content or putting your program together? Would you focus on like a job, going back to a job you loved and doing a job and really fulfilling your hours? Would you work from home? Would you work on a project you've always loved? Would you go back to school? What would you be doing during the hours of 9 to noon? Right? Would you sit out in the sun and read a book? Would you go for a fabulous adventure? What would you and could you do in your manifested healed life with that time? What are the things that you would do during the weekdays, and what are the things that you would do on the weekends? What would you do with it? Make a list of 2 or 3 things that you would do at that time, and then every day I want you to do it. Step into it. Start to live your future self now. Then, what would your future self do for lunch? Would you go out to a fabulous restaurant? Would you call friends to socialize with, a friend to meet? Would you, steal time with a lover? Would you sit by yourself in quiet meditation? What would this future self eat and drink? What would the healthiest version of you choose to eat and drink at this lunch hour and do with your time? Your free, beautiful lunch hour. Would you read a book? What would you do? Sit, brainstorm, think, read, listen to a podcast. What would you do with that time? What would be blissful to you? What would feel good? What would feel healed, right? What would the version of you who is healthy and healed do? And what would they eat? Same thing after lunch, from the hours of 1 to 4. What would you do with that time? What would you focus on? What future goals and accomplishments do you want to create? What is the vision that you have for your life? Would you focus on relationships or finances or creativity or spirituality or a major accomplishment in your life or goal that you have? Would you work? What would you do with those hours? What would you want to do if you were healed and healthy? What would that healthy version of you do with that time? Jot down a couple of things and do it. Start to live into that now. No matter how you feel, no matter how capable or incapable you are now, no matter what the 3D reality is reflecting back to you, start to live into the vision of what that future healed self would be doing without limits, without restrictions, without the, oh no, but I couldn't actually do that. What would the 5-year or the 10-year, what would the perfect, if there was magic, what would that, and no limitations, and nothing was out of reach for you, what would you do? What would you want to do? What does your soul want to do? What is your purpose? What are you here to do? What do you want to create? What do you want to focus on? What lights you up? What are you passionate about? Then coming into dinner, right? What meals do you want to cook? What would this future healed version of yourself eat and drink to make you feel your very most healthy and vibrant self? Are you a raw vegan? Are you a carnivore? Do you have the Mediterranean lifestyle? What kinds of foods would you be cooking and eating? What makes you feel the most healthy, alive, and vibrant? Do you fast? What do you do? What do you eat? In your evening hours, what do you do on a weeknight, a normal weeknight? What do you use your time for? Reading, learning, creating, relationships. What do you use your time for? Do you go on date nights? What do you do on the weekends? Do you go to events, parties? Do you host people, families? What do you do? Do you have a vibrant, sports-filled, adventure-seeking life? Do you have a quiet, introspective, meditative, purpose-driven life, or extrovert life filled with meaningful relationships and loads of fun and purpose? Do you have a combination? What does it look like? What does your quiet evenings look like? What do your normal evenings look like? What do your family evenings look like? What does your social life look like? What does your dating life and your romantic life look like? What are the versions of your healed relationships look like? What does your relationship and your wildest dreams look like with your spouse or your partner, with your children, with your parents, with your friends, with your siblings? What do these look like? What kinds of things do you talk about? What kinds of things do you do together? Remember, there's no limits here. We can use our imagination, and we start to live into this imagination by creating the story in our mind or by starting to step into it and using our time to walk toward it, to step into it. To some of these activities and actions, we have to literally step into becoming our future self. You know, what kind of sleep does the future healed version of yourself get? Restorative and unbroken. Right? What does the bed that you sleep in and fall into look like? What does it feel like to be rested and to feel renewed every day when you wake up after a deep, beautiful, restorative sleep? Start to create those visuals now in your life. Start to make the bed look and feel like what you imagine. Start to step into that mindset now and wake up reminding yourself, thank you for that beautiful restorative sleep. I'm so excited to start my new day. And then you get up and you do it again. This is how you create your future life. This is how you step into it. This is how you become the future version of yourself, not just visually, not just in your visualization and brain retraining sessions or these manifestation techniques that you use, but every step of the way throughout the day. We get more clarity as we go towards our goals and our vision and our purpose and our dreams and the life that it is that we want. We focus on what we want, not on what we don't want. And that is the heart of manifestation. That is how we start to become the future versions of ourselves now. That is how we become somebody who is healed now. Because the sad truth is, you're not just gonna wake up one day and be healed. You know, from being a sick person to being healed. You have to go through the steps mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, by becoming that, by walking towards it, by focusing more what it is and where you're going and what you want, than replaying the old story, then looking at the old symptoms, then focusing on it, then retelling that story, reliving that story over and over and over. That's having you go in circles. And you're never just going to wake up 5 years from now and be the version of that future self that you imagined if you don't begin to embody it now. Each day, take steps, right? Sometimes you can imagine being given a token for everything that you do, like a video game or something. If you do something good for your future self, that is going to be an investment in your future self, in that future version of the healed version of you. I'm going to give you a token, right? If you eat something, I give you a token. If you drink something, that invests in your future self. If you think a thought, if you feel a feeling, if you take an action, token, token, token. Okay? Now if you do the opposite, if you eat something that does not, that steals from your future self, right? That puts your future self in debt, that takes away from who you're going to be. I'm going to steal a token. You take an action, you do a behavior, you react in a certain way, you indulge in an old pattern, you eat wrong food. Every time you do something that invests in your future self, you get a token. And every time you do something that detracts from your future self or takes away from the person that you could be, you get a token taken away from you. At the end of the day, how many tokens would you end up with? Would you end up with a surplus, or would you end up being in debt? Because that is exactly, on a day-to-day basis, whether you're growing into and investing into your future self now, or whether you're becoming indebted, whether you're not growing into that person, whether you're losing ground, whether you're going in circles, whether you're spinning your wheels. Every day is an opportunity. in every moment, in every interaction, with every thought, with every feeling, with every emotion, with every food, with every activity, with every action, with every purpose-driven reaction, or with every time you scroll on your phone, you lose a token. Right? You lose a token. You are not investing in your future self at that moment when you're scrolling, or when you're snapping in anger, or when you're eating that bad food, or when you're not going to bed when you should be, right? You're losing a token, losing a token, losing a token. This is what happens. And so if you, at every moment, you can say, is this detracting or investing in the future version of my healed self? And make the decision based on that. This will start to add up, it will start to accumulate, and you will be, even if your 3D reality does not reflect it now, even if you still have the symptoms, even if you still have the disease, even if you're not healed yet, you don't feel good in your body. Every time you don't tell that story, every time you don't complain about that, every time you make a new choice, you're getting tokens, right? That will pay off later. You will start to see it add up. You'll start to see it accumulate. You're walking toward and you're investing every moment in your future self. And that is actually how you create your future self. You become your future self in the moment. Every single moment, you have an opportunity to either get a token towards an investment in your future self or have one taken from you. And you have the choice in every moment to accumulate it or detract from it. And that is really, you have to have your long-term vision, but it's really in the short-term choices and decisions that it happens. And you don't see it happen. It happens slowly. Progress is slow. Just like going to the gym, just like we're lifting weights, the choice to do it every day, the choice to exercise every day, the choice to continue to go after a goal, to use your will, your determination, your grit, your focus, eventually pays off. And that's what happens here with manifestation, with creating our future selves. It's a process in the moment as much as it is an end visualization. So I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you see how you need the goal, you need the end future manifestation, you need that, and then you need to go back and take steps towards it. Daily, immediate steps. Every single day and every single moment is an opportunity for you to invest in that future self. And the more you do it, and the more you stay on track, and the more you stay focused, and the more you tell the new story instead of the old story, the faster the manifestation and the visualization will come into being. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a like, subscribe, share it, and I will see you in the next one.